Hello and welcome to the Women's Cut. We're live in that action.
Hey
Um,
guys,
Hi, Seaway. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Excited to be live for this very, very special day.
Listen, we have the first four for the women's NCAA March Madness tomorrow. We have a CBA that has been negotiated. Is probably being vetted and signed as we speak. And you don't care, but baseball season is right around the corner. So I'm in a great mood. I'm in a great sports mood today.
Yes, but I know so many people are trying to fill out their brackets for March Madness. You guys are in tournaments. Some of you guys have money on the line. And so this episode is going to be all about breaking down the NCAA March Madness for the women's tournament and making sure that you're well informed for your picks, and you don't have to go with what we have. But we're going to make sure that you understand, okay? And so if you don't keep up with the women's college game and you just need to know more about the teams and what would be a good pick, we got you.
I just want to put an absolute disclaimer. If you place a bet or parlay based on anything that me and Seaway say, we're not responsible. All right. But if you win some money, you can slide it. You win
Okay.
some money, you can slide it. But we are not responsible. And we've been talking a bit about this. Um, we've been talking a bit about this. I I fill out a bracket based on um shock value. I have an experimental value. I have an experimental bracket. Seaway has filled out her bracket based on facts and viewing the games. I viewed the games as well, but I'm willing to take a few more risks. So I just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there.
Yes. Okay, well
All right,
let's kick it off.
let's get to it. So let's start with our regional one bracket. We're just gonna go regional one. We're gonna go from the top. Now, um, I will discuss where I differ from Seaway. And then one way we don't differ is that we got UConn taking it all the way to the Final Four. I don't think it's a stretch. I don't think that that is a surprise. Um, Sarah has been hooping. AZ has been hooping. The girls are ready. Gino is Gino. If they don't make it to the Final Four, I don't know. That's a disappointment.
Yeah, so I definitely think UConn this first round, it shouldn't be much of a game. And so just expect UConn to take out UTSA by a lot, okay? And so there will be no upsets of UConn in the first round or for a while. So just, keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah.
So we will agree on that. Now, the Iowa State Syracuse game. This is going to be really tough. Okay, I have Iowa State. Audie Crooks, uh, AP All American is leading the team. Audie, the Iowa State Cyclones, they were really really strong in the beginning of the season. They kind of fell off again towards the end of the season. They're kind of trending not in the right direction. But I do think for the tournament, I would be going with Iowa State over Syracuse. How do you feel?
I agree. I honestly think Iowa State got a bad draw. For your second game in the round of 32 to be against UConn is tough. But they kind of played themselves into this particular position. I don't see Syracuse having the strength to keep Audie off the low block. So I 100% agree with you. Iowa State is going to come out of that first round. They're going to run into a buzzsaw in UConn in that second round game.
Okay, agreed. Now, Maryland and Murray State. Now, I have Maryland. I do think if you're going with the safe pick, you'll go with Maryland. They have one of the best players in the country. There's just a lot of good basketball coming out of Maryland. They're also, Big Ten tested. I think they've been pretty solid. They've done pretty well. Definitely think Maryland is the safer choice. However, upsets do happen. What do you think, Jay?
So in every tournament, men's and women's, there's generally at least one upset in the first round. I'm picking Murray State as my upset. Now, is this reasonable? Probably not. Is this because I'm an MVC homer? Yes. Shout out to Bradley. Once a brave, always a brave. Murray State has not had the strength of competition, but they have beat down BTA every single other, even in, it wasn't even a contest in the MVC championship. So I'm going with Murray State. This is my homer choice of Murray State to upset Maryland in the first round.
Okay, so do with that as you wish. Next round, the next game we have North Carolina versus Western Illinois. Sorry, guys. I believe this is easily going to North Carolina.
Sorry, and, Western. Shout out to Illinois,
sorry.
But sorry.
Yeah, shout out to our home state, but this is easily going to North Carolina. North Carolina has won some big games this year. I definitely don't think it's a game where, this is a game where you want to take a risk. Notre Dame, Fairfield. Now, Notre Dame is not the Notre Dame from these last couple of years. So if you're not keeping up with women's college basketball, this is not the Notre Dame of last year, right? But they still do have a solid, All-American in Hannah Hidalgo. They've won some big games. They've also lost games. A lot of this, comes down to how Hannah plays. However, they have enough to beat Fairfield. This is also not a place where I would pick an upset. But how do you feel?
I agree. I have Notre Dame. It's hard to root against Hannah. But they're not going to see any trouble until they make it to the round of 32. So I agree. And I believe we have the same pick in Ohio State coming up next. Howard is a good squad, but Ohio State has been doing some damage in the Big Ten. Well, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I love my HBCUs. I just think Ohio State, they have Jelani Cambridge, All-American, right? And so I just believe that is just the more solid pick. I do think more conversations need to happen when we're talking about Ohio State versus Notre Dame, but we'll get to there. But I think for Howard, I don't think Howard is going to have enough to beat Ohio State with Jelani Cambridge. This Illinois-Colorado matchup.
I actually think this is going to be a pretty tight game, but I think Illinois is going to pull it out. Colorado is scrappy. They're a very scrappy team, and I honestly, that's going to help Vanderbilt. I also chose Vanderbilt next. That's going to help Vanderbilt. They're going to be they're going to tire Illinois out, but I got Illinois taking it.
Yeah, Illinois was 9-9 in the Big Ten. Not a bad record. They definitely have won some big games, have lost some big games. But I do think just being Big Ten tested and the amount of, type of games they've had to play to be 9-9, I'm going to go with Illinois. I think they're just a safer option. But I agree with Jay. This is going to be a really close game. And so whether you go with Colorado or Illinois, I think it's going to be close.
Yep.
Last one, Vanderbilt versus High Point. To me, the best player in the country has been Michaela Blakes, and she's leading Vanderbilt along with freshman Galvin. And so this is definitely not a place for an upset. Not here.
Not at all. Not at all.
Don't do it.
Not at all. All right. I don't think we need to revisit UConn. That's a float. They just go float on through.
Yeah.
You have Maryland, I have Murray State. You have Maryland, North Carolina. Why did you choose North Carolina?
Yeah, I just think North Carolina, I don't have the games off the top of my head, but I know North Carolina has won some surprising. Thank you, Chicago Cheetah. Hey, everyone in the chat. I just think North Carolina has won just bigger games than Maryland. I would have to go back and look at all those games, but I'm just more impressed with the strength of schedule of North Carolina, and so I'm gonna go with them. I just have more faith in North Carolina.
I got you. So, full disclosure again, I chose Murray State as my upset pick. I was comfortable choosing Murray State because my bracket will not be busted. I got UConn going all the way through. Really doesn't matter who meets them in the Sweet 16 because they're going to lose.
True.
So, I have Murray State versus North Carolina here. I like North Carolina, but North Carolina is not consistent, and that is what my issue is. The reason I lean consistency in most of these picks. The reason why UConn is good is because they are consistent. The reason why Don's kids are good is because they are consistent. The reason why Ole Miss is good. We have a pattern here. Murray State, while they do not have the same level of talent, they are an extremely consistent and well-coached team. So I'm taking them through for my singing Sweet 16 choice. Will they make it past UConn? No, but that is my choice. I see you in the comments, and LSU. LSU has not been consistent this year, friend. We can get to that. We can get to that side of the bracket, but LSU, some dogs. They consistently some dogs, but they have not been consistent as a team.
Okay, so this one kind of kept me up. I will have to say, let me move it down. The Notre Dame Ohio State matchup is the one that I really spent a lot of time going over. You have Notre Dame, Hannah Hidalgo. If she has a great game, that's almost enough, right? But a lot of it lives and dies with her. And then you have Ohio State, a more complete team. Jelani Cambridge. I struggled. I just feel like in the tournament, the more complete team is where I think is the safer bet. And so I went with Ohio State. However, if Hannah Hidalgo turns into tournament Hannah, that's also a really good selection, but I just feel the safer bet is Ohio State.
Yeah, I went with Notre Dame because if Hannah is Hannahing, it's very, very difficult to beat that team. They go as she goes. And I think that, again, I think both of their first round will not be close. But I think that Howard is going to give a better game than Fairfield. So I honestly think that that's going to bode well for Notre Dame because of the proximity of these games. You got to think about the proximity of these games and all that other stuff. So I'm going with Notre Dame. That's my choice. And the next matchup, Illinois versus Vanderbilt, I don't think this is going to be that close of a game. No. I don't think this is going to be that close of a game. Illinois can be a little lax on defense. Vanderbilt are really good at scoring the ball. So I honestly think that Vanderbilt, Illinois is not going to be that close of a game.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt, this is going to be another somewhat of a, I don't want to say blowout, but close to it. Yeah. So definitely go with Vanderbilt on that one. Making our way up. We have, mine comes down to UConn and Vanderbilt, although I think this is going to be one of UConn's toughest matchups. And I do think this is going to be a touch and go game for both teams. I do have UConn pulling this out.
Agreed. I also have UConn v Vandy. Um, this is them versus Vanderbilt is probably going to be their toughest in this first rounds. I think that the rest of them are going to be kind of breezy, but Vanderbilt again, well coached, very scrappy, the best player in college women's college basketball this season. That's going to be a very tough matchup. Um,
Yeah,
I'm actually really excited for that
and
game.
Gino and Coach Shay Ralph are very familiar with each other, right? And so they understand each other's coach style. And you can tell that, you could tell that they have similar philosophies. And this is the reason why I do think this UConn Vanderbilt is going to be one of the toughest matchups, because they both are very methodical. They both are very disciplined. And so, yeah, I would definitely pay close attention to this game, but I just don't see Vanderbilt having enough weapons for UConn.
Yeah, they're not going to have. Sarah Strong is a problem.
Yeah,
and they're not that's just plain and simple. She's a problem, and I don't know if they're going to have the ability to fight her on the low block. She can stretch. She's great. And like this, she can hit a 15, 17 footer. She can go out to the three. So I think that she's gonna cause the biggest issue for them. And UConn has crazy defense. Like their defense is top tier, defense. So yeah, I think UConn pulls that one out.
yeah, I think they're going to game strategy on Blake's, and then we're going to see how that goes. All right, to the other side.
I think we're pretty close. I think this region where we probably go 1-for-1 on here, other than a few.
So yeah, I definitely think UCLA and CA Baptist, that's going to be a blowout, and so expect that, right? This Oklahoma State and Princeton is going to be a really close matchup. Princeton end up, I believe, winning the Ivy League, right? Mm-hmm. Did they win the Ivy League? But they've also lost games in the Ivy League, and so I was a little bit concerned with picking them, but I just think I'm going to go with them over Oklahoma State. How do you feel?
Agreed. We're the same here. I have UCLA, Princeton in the round of 32.
All right, Ole Miss, Gonzaga. I think Ole Miss hands down. Ole Miss already exceeded expectations in the SEC tournament. They've exceeded expectations all year. I think, based on some of the games they're won, they're a little bit underranked. And so I don't think this Gonzaga matchup is going to be difficult for them at all.
I agree. I really like their coach. I really like the coach for Ole Miss. I think that she is coming into her own, as far as people knowing her, notoriety. Her social media presence is top, but also her system is sound. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need. She's been great at recruiting. She has a really good team under her. I'm a big fan of Ole Miss. I think that they're going to easily handle Gonzaga in that first round. And I also have Minnesota coming out against Green Bay. Green Bay is a true bracket team, is a true bubble team. They're a true bubble team. I don't see them making it past Minnesota. No. So Ole Miss, Minnesota, I have the exact same thing on that 32.
Yeah, and for Minnesota to be fourth in the Big Ten in the standings, behind UCLA, in Iowa, fourth in the Big Ten in front of Ohio, in front of Maryland, they've been pretty solid. And so
Mhm.
you got to respect that. They're definitely going to take out Green Bay. Now we have this Baylor Nebraska matchup. What do you think? I have Baylor.
Same.
Yeah, I have Baylor. Duke
Same.
Charleston. Duke, they won the ACC, and Duke is trending in the right direction.
Yeah, Duke is going to be real tough. That's the reason why I have them going into the Sweet 16. I think that they're hitting at the right time right now. They're clicking at the right time. They're playing up to competition, and their competition is only going to get stronger. So I'm a fan of Duke coming out over Charleston.
Yeah. So next up is Villanova and Texas Tech. And the reason why I have Villanova is because Villanova actually gave UConn some go recently.
That's literally the reason I chose them over Texas Tech. That game, I was like, let me see who else they've played. They have played tough games, and Villanova has stood up. So I
Yes.
definitely have them going over Texas Tech. And I'm going to be honest with you because we both have LSU, so we could talk a little bit about the round of 32. Villanova is going to give LSU some problems.
I do, because Villanova, the way they frustrated UConn really concerned me. One, about UConn's ability to deal with some of the stuff we're about to see in the tournament, i.e. Vanderbilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Villanova frustrated them really bad. And so I just think based on their discipline, they're going to be fine. LSU is going to win over Jacksonville. So we can go up to the next round. We have UCLA Princeton. UCLA, first of all, UCLA, for people who don't know, their whole starting five is oh yeah, they said Villanova put the BTA in West Virginia too. So note that they done played some games, okay?
Listen.
For those who don't know, UCLA, all the players are about 6'10", okay? They're very tall, and it's a walking W starting five.
It is. It
And
is.
so to
It's
beat
really
them,
it's an NBA calling back. It's an NBA five, according
it's
to
an NBA
Seaway.
five. Everybody shoots. Everybody's a stretch big, darn near on that team. Okay, and so I definitely don't think until they play some teams that kind of challenges them athletically, and makes them miss their shots, they're not going to be in trouble. And so the UCLA Princeton matchup, UCLA hands down. Ole Miss Minnesota.
I have Ole
Yeah.
Miss. I just told you how much I love Ole Miss. So
Yeah.
I'm with Ole Miss here. I think it's gonna be a really good game. The first round in the women's tournament can be so hit or miss in finding good games. So those close ones, like when you have an 8-9, you have a 7-10, that's where you're going to get them. But this Ole Miss Minnesota game is going to be a good game. I
Yeah.
think that they're very well suited towards each other. I think Ole Miss got a little bit more dog in them, so Ole Miss is going to pull that out. But yeah, I have Ole Miss there.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, a SEC 5 and a Minnesota 4 really is not the same. I mean, in a Big Ten 4, Ole
It's
Miss
not
physicality that they're used to playing with, the Big Ten teams just don't do as well. Not
fact.
saying that they're all punks, but they just don't do as well. And so, if Ole Miss is not tired and they're ready to go, I think they're going to beat Minnesota.
I agree. So we have Duke. I have Duke.
Lines.
You said what?
I have Duke.
Baylor's a good team. Commissioner.
Duke. It's not the same Baylor though, and that's my only concern.
Yeah.
And Duke is trending in the right direction.
Duke is just hitting right now and hitting at the when you get to those conference championships, when you're hitting at the right time, that goes so well into this tournament. So I am a fan of Duke over Baylor. And I also think it's hard to beat Commissioner. It's hard to beat the same team twice. especially when you haven't played them recently. It's very difficult. Baylor played a very different Duke team the first time. This is not that same Duke team. They've gelled more, so I'm a fan of Duke coming here.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick Baylor, fine. I just think the way I wasn't, thinking that Duke was going to be able to pull this out, but the way they kind of went through that ACC tournament and have been locking and rocking and rolling, I do know there is a thought that Duke is very defensive. They can't put the ball in the basket, all things that are said about them. But they've been really turning that whole, stereotype about them around. And so I definitely feel like the way Duke is peaking at the right time, it'll be really risky to pick Baylor to upset them. But it's March Madness and anything's possible.
Anything is possible. In the immortal words of the poet Whitney Houston, it's possible.
Now,
Obviously.
LSU Villanova, although Villanova is a very structured, a very good team, they cannot keep up with the speed of not even one or two people on LSU. If LSU gets out there and runs and uses their SEC physicality, there's absolutely nothing that Villanova can do with them.
And Flo is on. It's her last season. She on a farewell tour. And if Flo is hitting in a tournament, that's a hard monster to stop.
All right. UCLA. Did I pick Ole Miss to upset UCLA?
I picked Ole Miss to upset UCLA because you just said that they got a starting five. They all tall, but guess what? Ole Miss is fast.
Is this my bracket or yours?
This is your bracket.
Oh,
you want to change? You can go and pick UCLA.
Hold on. No, I'm moving it back. I don't know how I did that.
I got Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss. I don't believe that UCLA is fast enough to stop Ole Miss. Yes, they're big. Yes, they can shoot. But if UCLA is not shooting, they are sitting ducks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Even though I think Ole Miss's tournament is going to stop here, I don't think they have an answer for Betts. I think Cody is going to have to do way too much, their star player. I just don't think they have enough, especially their bigs, to deal with Betts. I don't think they have enough people to get out to all those shooters. I'm not even sure it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a very interesting game because they play two very different styles of basketball.
They do.
So we're going to see.
They do. This is where we definitely differ the most. I think right here. I definitely have Ole Miss. And I'm not scared of that pick.
All right, Duke LSU. This is one of those games I think for LSU that's not going to be as difficult.
It's not.
I just don't think Duke matches up well with LSU. I don't think even though they're very defensive minded, I don't think they have the speed for them. And longs that Kim Mulkey coaches LSU well in game plans, I just don't see LSU having a problem with Duke.
If we get a bedazzled jacket, Kim, if we get a pink bedazzled jacket, Kim,
you already know what's up.
It's done. It's done. It's over. It's over. So I definitely have LSU here. I see you saying Baylor. Y'all are really some real. Understand that regardless of who wins that Duke Baylor game, that's going to be a close game. And then now you got to go up against LSU. So whoever come out of that game, LSU is taking them down. But I'm definitely Duke versus LSU here.
Yeah. And so this is where I have my upset. My upset is going to be the LSU versus UCLA. They see each other a lot of times. They've seen each other a couple times over the years. They're building up a little rivalry. I just think LSU has a little bit more fight in them, and they should know how to game plan against UCLA. We know what it is. It's penetrate, get the ball to Betts. If she doesn't have anything, kick it out. Where LSU will struggle is just their bigs aren't big enough to deal with Betts. Overall is going to have a really good game
There's some
Um,
good girls.
but I do think that I'm willing to bet that LSU can upset UCLA. I think it's possible.
I have LSU winning this game. Obviously, I have Ole Miss, so it's an easier game in my bracket for LSU. So I have LSU winning this game.
Agreed. All right. Speed pass. I don't need y'all seeing.
All right. So where we at? 3 or 4?
Regional 4.
Okay. All right. We're not. I'm honestly not even about to talk about South Carolina because I got South Carolina making it all the way through to the Final Four. I don't think any game that they play here is going to be difficult for them except for Oklahoma because Oklahoma is a very, very solid team.
Yeah.
But South Carolina, much like UConn, is extremely well rounded. Extremely well rounded. They have shooters, they have defense, they have a great system. So South Carolina is coming out of this first round extremely unscathed.
Yeah, and I agree. We don't really have to talk about South Carolina in this tournament until you get to Oklahoma. I do think they will be challenged there. Because Oklahoma has played a couple of different ways. They have looked like one of the best teams in the SEC, and then they have looked average at times. And so it really depends on how Chavez plays and, how things go. So how Beers plays. The USC versus Clemson, I have USC. I have faith in the freshmen. I have faith in their sophomores. I have faith in Jazzy, the freshmen, their sophomores.
Jazzy was so good this season. She's the reason why they won any games, period.
And this is a great time for her to get recognized on a national stage even more than she already is. And so I definitely don't see them being bounced from the first round by Clemson.
This is my game to watch though, because if we're looking at NCAA future, I just really want people to see what Jazzy does, and I just want them to imagine Jazzy and Juju together on the same court at the same time. USC might be a little bit of a problem next year, so definitely watch that game, even though it's in the first round.
Yeah, and then we can speed through these. Oklahoma, Michigan State versus Colorado State. That's kind of take your pick. I picked Michigan State. If you want to pick Colorado State, what do you
got Michigan. I got Michigan. I honestly, I know people are saying this is going to be a closer game. I don't think it's going to be as close as people think. I also have Oklahoma. I also have Washington. This is the most. This is honestly the easiest of the brackets for me.
This side, yeah.
Because I have Washington, I have TCU. The only thing this is my issue with this Georgia 10. I think ASU got the short end of the stick in a play-in game, to be honest. I think ASU is a very good team, and I think they can take Georgia out in the first round. It's not really a controversial take, but Georgia does not their games against ranked opponents have not been where they need to be in order for them to make a stink in this tournament. So I think that Georgia is very easy to tick off here.
I've also seen Georgia give SEC teams hell. They got a couple shooters on that team. And some of the sparks that I've seen in Georgia makes them kind of a scary tournament team. I think they're the type of team that's like, oh, bright lights.
I can see it, but I see the other side of that too. So you have Georgia going pretty far in your bracket. So we definitely differ here because I'm not even. If Georgia makes it past this first round, then yes, I think they can carry to the Sweet 16. Obviously, but I got to see how they play this first game because I think ASU is a little bit of a sleeper here, to be honest.
Hold on. Alert. We're going to change some things.
Wait, what happened?
I'm switching. I actually think Iowa can beat Georgia. I take it back.
Yes, you had Iowa win. Oh yeah, you did.
I think
Iowa's playing great basketball right now. Iowa's playing great basketball right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I gotta change it. Live and in action. I do believe that
Okay.
Iowa can beat Georgia. And you know
I
what?
listen.
Iowa
I
can beat
saw it. I
TCU.
wasn't gonna judge. You know, we don't judge here. We don't. I'm not gonna judge your bracket. But I was like, Georgia's real gettable.
Oh yeah, and Georgia did beat Vandy. That's the thing. I've seen Georgia beat really good teams. And so, but I just think the way Iowa's also been cooking, they
Iowa's
lost
been
really bad though in
really
that Big Ten
good.
tournament. But yeah. Okay. Back up. You can hear me. We know South Carolina over USC. I think Oklahoma has been playing out of their mind. They're gonna have no issue beating Michigan. What do you think?
Are we on the other side now?
No, same side.
Oh, Michigan State. Oh
Michigan
yes.
State. Sorry.
I got Oklahoma versus South Carolina as well. Oklahoma has a really, really good squad. And I said that it really depends on where they place them. They gave them a 4, which I think in this bracket is a gift. So I definitely have Oklahoma over Michigan State.
And then we have TCU versus Washington. Now, although TCU, the way they came out and played in that Big 12 tournament,
terrible,
concerning at best.
Terrible.
I do believe they have enough to beat Washington.
This was actually hard for me.
Yeah,
this was a hard choice for me. This was almost like Duke Baylor at the top because I think Washington has a good team. I think that they have a really good team. And it really does depend on which TCU decides to show up. But I think they pull it out if they're able to put together a solid game in this first one and don't dilly-dally and try to play down the competition in that first game. I think that they could take Washington out.
Agreed. And then Georgia, Iowa, we're going to go with Georgia. All right. Back up to the top, South Carolina, Iowa. I think that's obvious. Any notes?
No notes. Perfect. No notes.
TCU, Iowa. I'm sorry. Let me go back. TCU, Iowa.
Yes.
Just the way TCU's been playing.
South Carolina's gonna have a hard game. That game against Oklahoma is gonna be must-see TV, but South Carolina's gonna pull that out.
All right, finally, Regional 3.
Now this region, my issue here is Texas sometimes act like they are allergic to winning.
Sometimes.
So the first 2 rounds are going to be very easy for Texas. I have them coming out, definitely winning that first round. And we can go on to the 32. But Texas, dear Texas, get your shit together, please.
Yeah, the tougher one is this Oregon, Virginia Tech. I actually may switch this one to Virginia Tech. I'm not sure. You have Oregon? Should I leave
I have Oregon. This is really this is another toss-up. I would hate to be an 8-9. I would hate to be an 8-9 in these brackets. Like for real, I would hate to be an 8-9. Because you have to go up against these kind of, the number one, going up against the number one is just a hard draw. Oregon is not going to get past Texas, but I have Oregon.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, they finished behind Notre Dame. I don't know. They had a tough conference though when you're thinking about Duke, Louisville this year, Notre Dame. And so that's why I wonder when you're thinking about Virginia Tech versus Oregon, who's been,
It can go. This is a toss up. It can go either way, for sure.
Y'all in the comments, y'all have an opinion on this one?
Yeah, this one is a tough one, but we can We can keep it rocking. We both have Kentucky and West Virginia meeting each other in the round of 32.
Yeah. I have
Um,
Kentucky. Kentucky is back. I know West Virginia. They won the ACC
I got
tournament.
West Virginia. I got
Yeah,
West Virginia. That
I
game
have
convinced
Kentucky.
me.
Look, Kentucky's been playing in the SEC tournament, the SEC
True.
conference. They're battle tested. They're back healthy. They did lose some chemistry when they lost some of their key players due to injury. Now they're back. And so I just feel like although West Virginia did beat up on TCU, TCU did not come out in that game with much energy. And I just don't think watching both of these teams that West Virginia has enough to deal with Kentucky. I just don't think they do.
We can definitely differ on this one. I like West Virginia coming out against against Kentucky. So that's my little situation going.
Okay, fair. All right, Alabama, Louisville. I have
Yes.
Louisville for obvious reasons, but Alabama could surprise people.
I have Alabama because they can, like you said, they can surprise people if they put it together. I don't have them making it past the next round, but I like Alabama in this matchup against Louisville.
And I'm sorry, we've been skipping around.
What did we move? We missed one?
No, we went up. So at first it's Alabama, Rhode Island. We have Alabama.
Yeah, because we all have the same thing. We got Alabama, Louisville, Tennessee, and Michigan, right?
But it's important because we have to stop here. This first round of NC State and Tennessee. Now,
yeah,
Tennessee has been playing their worst basketball in program history. However, I just feel like if they actually play to their strengths, there is no reason why they can't beat NC State.
That Tennessee team, Pat Summitt is rolling over right now.
There's no way that they're going to this tournament and they're not beating NC State. They have to pull it together at some point.
They bet not listen to me. They bet not embarrass my girl Pat. Okay, I need them to get it together. All right.
Well,
there's for the orange and green. Y'all are tripping over there in Tennessee. But yeah, they better handle NC State. I mean, they're gonna be making some changes over there anyway. But
yeah, NC State is a really good team as well. This is going to be one of the toughest and probably most fun matchups in the tournament. So if you're not watching this game, you should be. But I just feel like Tennessee has to pull it together. They just have to.
Okay, NC State is a better team, Commissioner, but Tennessee has better players. If those players can put it together,
right? Exactly.
Tennessee is going to handle NC State. If they can't, it's going to be a drubbing.
Yeah. Hopefully they've taken this week off to meditate, seance, do whatever they got to do.
Burn some Palo Santo. Yes, do something.
Yeah, it's gonna be Michigan. All right, going back, Michigan versus Tennessee. Michigan and Silas Suarez hands down. Yep. I think we that's
we agree.
Clear. Louisville, Alabama. That's what we were talking about. You have Alabama. I have Louisville.
Who in the comments said I was thinking Tennessee too, because they're pretty much at rock bottom, so their only way is up.
Look, we're all on the same page.
Woo, Lord. All right. Yes.
West Virginia, Kentucky. We kind of talked about this. I have Kentucky. We talked about why you have West Virginia. Texas.
I have West Virginia. I honestly think people are kind of underestimating them. They just clicked late. This is a team that clicked late. It feels a lot like Duke. They clicked late. They play really well together. They play a solid brand of basketball. They have very good another team that has good defense. Offense might be what gets Kentucky over them, but I have West Virginia.
I just, not to belabor this, but I watched the speed of that TCU game.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched the South Carolina Texas game, and then after that came on the TCU West Virginia game, And it felt like I was watching game in a regular speed, and then when we got to TCU West Virginia, it felt like I was going in slow-mo. That was the difference. No shade. That was the difference in speed between those. And
Yeah, but the game that the game West Virginia played before that was not like that. That's just they gotta play the game they was playing. TCU just sucked.
I don't know, but I just think though the way the Big 12 plays is just not quick. It's just not quick, and it's not as physical. And I just don't think that I just don't see why Kentucky cannot beat them. But I will be surprised if so.
I feel like West Virginia, and I'm gonna look it up because I'm not about to lie. I feel like they had a decent outside of the tournament schedule. I mean, outside of their conference schedule, but like, yeah, they're just a very defensive team. They're a very defensive team. And it's very difficult to, especially in the women's game right now, if you have a sound defense and score enough points, you can win. Is that going to be, we're getting to the Final Four brand of basketball? No. But I think that that's a solid situation for the Sweet 16 to me. So I just like West Virginia coming out.
Okay.
They're going to lose to Texas, but I like West Virginia coming out.
Now I'm having a sneeze attack. Okay.
They did beat Duke with 5 players. True. That team is bought in. I feel like people a little sleep on West Virginia right now, but it's fine. All right, who's next?
Texas, Oregon. I think we have Texas.
Yep.
And we talked about these. Let's go to the next round. Texas. I have Texas, Kentucky. You would have Texas, West Virginia. I believe Texas is still fine there.
Texas just is frustrating. They're frustrating as a team.
They went the entire season, and the only games they lost to were the big games, like the South Carolinas. And I think
that's a problem though. But that's the lights. I think the lights is the issue, because right now we're not even talking about, are you going to be able to rise to that occasion? And them big games, Texas ain't showed me that they can do that.
Yeah, but I don't. Texas, I mean, just for people, I mean, when you're talking about the type of firepower that Texas has right now, sorry, where are we at? Texas, Kentucky. Nothing. If I had Texas, Kentucky, Texas, West Virginia, I'm not saying it would be a cakewalk, but they have shooters now. On top of the fact, they have Madison Booker, they have Old Acre, they have their young shooters. They just have a lot of weapons right now. I'm just not concerned.
I agree with you, but I just feel like it just feels to me that West Virginia could win that game, and I like that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule out Texas falling to another SEC team like Kentucky, or falling to West Virginia. Maybe. I actually really don't see that, but I'll humor it for Jay. But I do think that they have some confidence after beating South Carolina, and they have the heart that Vic Schaefer is asking them to show. And so, yeah, I wouldn't count Texas out in this round.
All right. So our Final Four. The only difference we have in our Final Four is Texas and West Virginia. I have South Carolina, Iowa, West Virginia, and Michigan. In my Final Four.
UConn, South Carolina, LSU, Texas.
So you have UConn. I'm betting. Wait, did I say Iowa? What am I looking at? Hold on. My bad. Yes, UConn, South Carolina, LSU, Michigan is what I have. Is that correct? Yes. Did we skip one?
No.
Yeah, Michigan over West Virginia. So yeah. All right. Yep, that's fine. My 4. So UConn, South Carolina, LSU, Michigan. So our only difference is Texas versus Michigan. So here's my thing. We are so vastly different here. Well, not vastly, because I have LSU going in. But listen, I think that this might be the year that Dawn gets Gino off her back.
You think so?
I think this might be the year that Dawn gets Gino off her back. She has not been able to shed him in the way that I want her to. So I have South Carolina versus LSU. I have South Carolina taking the cake.
Well, I always say when South Carolina takes a loss like they did to Texas, they come back stronger. And so it's definitely not, I definitely don't count out, the Gamecocks for anything. Anything is possible. I just think yet again, UConn just has such a well-oiled machine. They have so many weapons. Sorry, guys. Getting late. So many weapons. And so I just feel that UConn has this, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised if the Gamecocks are able to pull this off, especially if all of their players are playing well and not checked out. I have LSU beating Texas. They beat them before. They handed them their first loss. Why not do it again? It really depends on what Texas wants to do when they show up.
Yeah, that's very true. I have so in general, Kim don't usually make early exits quick. Although she lost in the Elite Eight last year, that's not necessarily an early exit. I think that the LSU team is clicking, is starting to click, and I think that those games, these games that are very heavy, that are against very good opponents, are going to kind of force them into it. If Full Wiley can focus,
yeah,
for 4 quarters, this LSU is
Michaela Williams and Jada Richard.
I feel like they need to get baby girl, as somebody who suffers from ADHD, I feel like they need to get baby girl on some ADHD medication. Like, it has to be something, because when she's locked in, she's a dog. It's otherworldly. It's otherworldly. So
I be diagnosing people on the internet.
I'm not diagnosing her. I just, you see so much of yourself in people sometimes. Yes, Dawn is the only coach to beat Gino in the Natty, and I think she's gonna do it. She ain't gonna be in the Natty, but I think she's gonna do it again this year. That's me.
Yeah, I think basketball really is a game of focusing and being locked in. And sometimes when you're so talented, it's easy to check out. We see that with a lot of players who seem like they check out a little bit. I see that a lot in Joyce Edwards in South Carolina. Sometimes I'm like, are you checking out? Are you here? You know what I mean? You check back in. You see that. And you see that a lot in very, very talented players. And so I just feel like for the tournament, there's no room in there's no room in checking out.
And she plays so fast. You cannot be that fast of a player and not be focused, because your mistakes are big. Your mistakes are key turnovers. Your mistakes are fouls. Like she got to lock in. But if she is locked in, LSU.
I don't think this turns on my young friend Mylasia. I think this really turns on if Flau'jae is gonna really take this team by the horns, and not just her have a good game, but Michaela, arguably one of the best scorers in the country, has to lock in. We know what we're gonna get from certain people, but I definitely feel like Michaela cannot take a back seat if LSU wants to win. She has to show why she's one of the best scorers in the country. Flau'jae is the opportunity to solidify, her draft stock now that we have a CBA. A lot of
Yep.
pressure on LSU because I think the ceiling is higher than where people may be thinking.
They've just underperformed. They've underperformed this year and still won.
Yeah.
They've underperformed and still won. So who have UConn played this season? It don't matter who UConn played, to be honest.
Because every year they do the same thing.
Every year they do the same thing. And their players generally don't transfer out. So whoever they played last year, except for these little freshmen who coming in, but your freshman, your star freshman from UConn, they got from USC K9, who has tournament experience. So you're not, and USC played some dogs last year when she was a freshman. So I don't think that's gonna be that's not that much of a knock for UConn to me. To me.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the fact that I would say I would have been more comfortable if I felt like UConn played UCLA or something, where we would be able to see kind of how they would fare under that type of pressure, because I think UCLA would be a good test for them. I just don't see anybody, regardless in their path, that I think is going to give them a lot of trouble. South Carolina could give them trouble, but they're going to have to, as Don been saying, how they've been doing all year, really maximizing what they do have, regardless of the injuries. South Carolina has to maximize everything that they have to really make this count to beat UConn. And I would say highlight their cohesiveness, their togetherness, and kind of the gelling that they have, and see if that can help them get over the edge of UConn. But that's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, I agree. All I know is I'm very excited for this tournament to start. For real. There's going to be some solid games in those first two, but the Sweet 16, and there will be no blowouts. These are going to be tight games, and I'm just such a fan of how the women's game is going right now, with how competitive it is. And I'm excited for it to start already, to be honest.
Yeah. So I hope this has helped you guys go through your bracket and kind of go through our, thought process. Definitely do your own research before brackets lock. But I definitely think there's a lot of games that can go a couple of different ways, and there's some games that, like, if something happens, something really went wrong. if there's an upset. So
somebody went down, you know what I'm saying? Somebody fouled out. We praying for clean games and health for all of these young ladies going into the tournament starting on Friday at 10:30 in the a.m.
Yes. And we will be remiss if we did not mention congratulations to the women of the W for agreeing on a new term sheet for the new CBA. And so special shout out to NECA, Alicia Clark, Stewie, Nafisa, Brianna Turner. These ladies who are in there day in, day out, fighting not only for themselves, for their peers, for women's sports in general. Very happy.
And this also tells you that this could have been done at the end of the season, and we didn't even have to go through all of this. They could have sat down at the end of the season and had these 5 days of negotiations, and we could have been having a live conversation about what you think people are going to do as far as the expansion draft and the draft. But we have a season. Asia is going to get that $1.4 million
already
off top. So
yeah, and so you guys make sure you stay locked in, because now that we have this, expect us to be stressed trying to cover the expansion draft, free agency, the WNBA draft. Pray for your content creators, the graphics team over there at these teams, the graphics team at these.
I'm stressed. I'm just stressed still thinking about You know about my master plan of Angel going to Dallas. I don't know if I've told you about my master plan of
No,
Angel.
you have not.
So I have a master plan of Angel going to Dallas. So I am very invested as to who they draft, because I think if they draft Betts, and then my head, it's Betts and Angel and okay, let me not go there. Let me not go there. So this is like the best time of the year.
Look,
And baseball season is around the corner.
exactly. So yeah, you guys, it's gonna be a whirlwind. So make sure you guys stay locked in with us on all platforms. Follow our individual platforms because we will be keeping you up to date on everything that's about to be crammed into these next 2 months. And when I say crammed, I mean crammed.
Crammed. Make sure you follow us everywhere. At the Women's Cut on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads. The Women's Cut Facebook group. Please join us. Join the conversation there. Join our YouTube channel. And then shout out to our network, Chicago Clubhouse Network. You can find our shows there, as well as other content on NFL, hockey, pretty much every type of sport, baseball, pretty much every sport you can think of. But make sure you follow us. We'll be covering these games pretty tight. Make sure you holler at Seaway. She's on it. She's right there. She's on it. So make sure you holler at my girl.
And look, if you didn't like anything that we said, just be glad that you made the cut. Bye. Good night.
Bye, y'all.